We really should stop this fighting. Otherwise, we'll miss the fireworks.
There won't be any fireworks.
And here we go.
You're better off spinning again on him if you're thinking about pushing me. Kendrick Lamar, Euphoria. Welcome to Storytime with Kibbs. This is actually a story about maybe me being a bit too competitive, but there is also a deeper message in it as well that I will actually get back to. I'm going to get back to that for the record, for those who got that joke. Here's the story time. So the students and I, for the past 2 or 3 weeks, we've been talking a lot about saying who's going to beat who in Uno, because I told the kids I was actually super good at Uno, and they didn't believe it. And I was like, trust me, you would get this work. Call me the unemployment office because you'll get this work. Another corny joke. And they're like, oh no, and I was like, okay, alrighty. Now it sounds like you're serious. Let's schedule this and let's compete. So I needed to wrap up a lesson first. We wrapped up the lesson last week, and I was like, okay, this Saturday we're absolutely going to play Uno, and we're going to play Uno No Mercy because once they told me there was a plus 10 card, I was 100% already in. And I procrastinated a bit. I was supposed to get the cards last weekend, and I got distracted with other things, and I was like, okay, let me try to get the cards today, Monday evening. And that was just not possible simply because of the fact that they said Amazon was stating that they wouldn't be able to bring the cards until the following Tuesday. And that wasn't going to work because then the kids would think I was backing down because I was not ready this Saturday. So I was like, all right, checking different stores and inventories. And I end up finding out that at Target, aka Target, they have an Uno No Mercy in stock. So I drive the 30 minutes to Holyoke Mall in order to get Uno No Mercy. Head there, and I talked to one of the workers there, and he's like, oh, sorry, it's not in stock, X, Y, and Z. And I was really disappointed. I was like, oh, I'm super motivated, and I really kind of like things to go my way. So I was like, let me try 3 or 4 more people and see if somebody can get me the answer I want. So I go find another person, and she's like, yeah, sorry, it's not in stock. We can try to put it in order for you, but it might not come in until next week or something like that. And I was like, that's not the answer I wanted. So I ended up purchasing a few items, going to the cashier, and I was like, all right, let me just give it one more spin and see if we can get an answer. I asked the cashier, and she says, it looks like we do have it in stock somewhere. So, because she checks her phone, which has all the items, and she's like, yeah, just give it a whirl and see what's available. And I was like, okay, let me just give this another 20-30 minutes, and if it doesn't work out for me, it is what it is. It doesn't work out for me. So I end up going back to try to find it, talk to this one kid, and he was new there, so he didn't know where to actually direct me, which was cool. And then I bumped into this woman who also works there and asked her about it, and she's like, and I told her, like, this is kind of life or death for me. And I really need to show these kids up because we've been talking junk back and forth. So, I need to win. So she checks her phone, and she also notices that they also have it in the back. So there you go. Not all heroes wear capes. Sometimes they wear Target vest. Haha, joke. And it ended up working out perfectly. So don't back out. Do not back out. Now, as I said, I would get back to that for the record, the deeper message. I definitely know I'm super competitive. That I'm very, very aware of. But I also wanted to kind of make an argument as to why I think it's important to be competitive and playful and to have games, especially in education. So I'll go back several years. When I graduated from college, that same year, 2013, I went to India. And I was teaching in India for a year, and it was the most incredible experience ever. When I first went to India, and when I first started teaching, the difficulty was that I was teaching students, and I was in Tamil Nadu, and I was in Uti. So up in the mountains, like, it was absolutely gorgeous. Some of the best tea I've ever had, but I digress. When I was in Uti, what was difficult about teaching was that the students I was teaching, they were learning English as a third or fourth language, because of the fact that their first language or languages were tribal languages. So they would either be learning a tribal language, and then Tamil, and then English, or they were learning a tribal language, Tamil, and then English. So I was literally just trying to incorporate English for them as a third or fourth language. And at first it was very, very difficult because I was trying to make teaching informative. And what made more sense was this philosophy. When I went to spend a week down at my director's place in Trichy, so we were quite far apart. I went to spend a week with him in Trichy, and when I was there, he ended up having a book titled School and Society by John Dewey. And that book was revolutionary. It was just very inspiring for me, because what that book taught me was that the best way to teach is to make it playful and interactive. And that's how you keep it, and that's how you keep people engaged, especially children. And at that time, I was teaching kindergarten, 7th grade, and 8th grade. So when I came back, I made sure that all of my lessons incorporated a game or some kind of story. Because I tell my kids this all the time, that like, you're probably one of my favorite books to teach is Animal Farm. Very few kids enjoy it. I love to teach it. But you're probably going to forget the characters in Animal Farm, maybe even the deeper message in Animal Farm, or you might even actually forget maybe the parts that I think are mostly significant to remember. But what you will remember are the stories that I intertwine as I'm teaching the book. So that for me is why these games are so important. Like, I think, yes, it's important to make sure kids are informed. You should know how to read, write, and you should also learn mathematics. All of that is important. But my biggest argument against standardized testing, and I'm not going to stand on my soapbox. Watch me get off of it. This is the soapbox. I'm getting off of it. My biggest argument with standardized testing was that there's no such thing as a standardized student. So the idea that we're just going to have one set bar for students just doesn't make any sense. What makes more sense, and John Dewey says this so brilliantly in his book, is to create a classroom that is very collaborative, cooperative as well, and where students are learning from one another. If we can create games and stories where people feel like they're part of a community, that's actually what's going to help these stories and the lessons to stick. That is actually why I also think that, playing Uno on one of our final classes for the fall semester is so significant. Is not only does it help build community, it helps us cooperate, it allows us to challenge each other, and it creates a very fun atmosphere. But that's actually what it means to really be human. I think that oh man, I'm going to get off the soapbox. I promise I'm going to get off the soapbox. There has been a very humane element removed from education because it has been so much about standardized testing. If we can go back to the idea of like, how do we learn from one another? How do we cooperate? How do we collaborate? How do we create fun games? How do we create stories and try to understand one another and understand people's perspectives? Education will be something that's absolutely revolutionary. Okay, so I didn't notice how much of what did the kids say? A yapper I am, because not only did I run out of storage on my iPhone, which is my issue. I should have deleted the previous videos I edited, but also my microphone ran out of batteries as well. So who knows how the rest of this is gonna go. long story short, I had already made my point anyway. I was just yapping to solidify the point and to kind of like write it in concrete. There's no such thing as a standardized student. Education should be much more involved, much more humane, and also incorporate playful games, time to interact, time to collaborate, and time to cooperate and really understand and get to know each other through the various stories that we all have. And we should create spaces where we should share them. That's what I was trying to say. I guess whatever, I'm gonna win it Uno. That's it. Hashtag homie dogs. It's on like Donkey Kong or whatever the kids say these days. Bye.